Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to yet another edition of 3 Live Canes right here on CanesInSight. As always, I am Chris. That's Bill. That down there, that's Steve-O. Here to talk to you guys about another week of Miami Hurricanes football in the off-season mode. Obviously, that means some news. It's like dribs and drabs here and there. But we do have some positive news this week, and by way of a former Cane returning to the coaching staff and Damian Lewis. We'll talk a little bit about that. A lot of it about that. I guess that's really what we're going to talk about today. And see what other stuff we can bring in and think about going into, as we continue on to the offseason, especially some of this other like OTA/spring changes, whatever, as these people want to talk about. But before we get to all that fun stuff, I'll go right over to Bill and say, Bill, how are you doing tonight?
Big chilling, little chilly in New Jersey. Today, little
Literally
freezing
chilling.
Rain. Got about 5 inches of snow yesterday, at least where I live. But we got some big news. Former Cane coming home. Guy that probably I don't even hear his name being like thrown out as a potential, but looks like a pretty good hire on paper. So we'll get into it
for sure. Steve-O, how are we feeling?
I don't know. I'm feeling good.
Just staring blankly at us, Steve-O. I know we can hear you, Steve-O. We can hear you.
That's crazy.
You're super locked in right now.
Like, I don't know how, but I'm feeling hype. Obviously, everybody feels this type of way about, hiring former Canes. But when you have the resume that really backs it, it just feels like, Coach Mario just, got to get somebody in this room. Defensive line where we need that old Canes attitude. So I'm all with it. Obviously, he was in the NFL for multiple years with Seattle. He just was they were like 10th in the sacks. So and obviously, Dion had a lot of skill talent over there, but the trenches, Colorado was kind of lacking, and so held them back. So we're going to still have a unit that produced without the type of guys that you would have in the toolbox that he would have at.
He was that passionate about it.
Passionate.
It was inevitable. We'll see if we throw it to the intro by the time we get back. Steve, I'm sure I'll have his stuff, ready to roll and worked out. Or maybe hit some snow down in South Florida. Nah, probably not. But anyway, thank you guys for joining in and tuning into the show. We'll talk a little Damian Lewis, little Canes here on 3 Live Canes.
This is for the national championship for Nebraska.
He's a stud, that Brown, number 98.
Irvin's got it. Irvin's free.
Slips to the outside, tries to stiff arm, but he couldn't get by Ray Lewis.
Big time players. Step up in big games.
Hard dog. Don't ask me for more. Hell no. Husker up to the races. That's what they needed.
That's Ricks going up for Thorpe, and it's intercepted near midfield. Sean Taylor's got another one.
Who else?
Who else but Sean? Who else but us here on a Wednesday night to talk to you about the University of Miami Hurricanes football program. Steve will be back with us in a second. There's always snow in South Florida, at least. There was something. There was something, CF Cane fan. I thought that was a U-Canes fan you comment for a second, just with its general tone. But, yes, you're absolutely right. This snow a little bit different, but it was the idea of bringing a guy back in, The ability to add a Damian Lewis to the staff is obviously huge. And for those of you guys that don't know a little bit about Damian Lewis, who he was as a player, but we're talking about one of the guys that came in, right when the probations were hitting, the dude that graduated in 2000, right before things really took off for the 2001, 02, 03 seasons. But that 2000 team was great. That 2000 defense was something special, and he was a big part of it. A guy who is, easily among the top 100 players in the history of the program. And even in our storied defensive tackle history, he's a guy who whose accolades on the field put him right up there with some of the, maybe not that first tier, but certainly with the second tier, with the guys like your Vince Wilforks and William Josephs and all that. A tremendous player. UCade's fan, you thrown at the gem of Butch's first class, like that initial group of guys that they were getting in, despite knowing that you're committing to a long-term project here to get this thing right. He suffered through some really rough times as a Cane, and then by the time he went out of here, that 2000 team was national championship quality, even if they didn't get the opportunity to play in the game. But quite the turnaround quite the turnaround. He was a big part of that, especially as a leader on the defensive line. And now he has the opportunity to come back to the Canes and coach for another former Cane here on the defensive line. So, Bill, just your initial thoughts when you saw Damian Lewis was being brought in here to coach this D-line group.
It kind of took me by surprise at first. It wasn't, usually those former Canes are, being thrown around. Ray Lewis is linebacker coach, Ed Reed is safeties coach. But then, now it's like, oh, wasn't he in the NFL? Then I didn't even realize he had joined, Deion's staff at Colorado. And, Steve, I was saying before the Wi-Fi bug got him, that D-line, turned around in a big way. Yes, they added, quite a bit of talent in the portal, right? But you got to give credit where it's due. And, he turned that around and essentially made it, a strength, at Colorado. If you watch their games, you couldn't just run all over them like you did 2 years ago.
Yeah.
But, brings NFL pedigree. He obviously knows the program, is from the area. He actually has some Texas connections as well. So, I think pairing him with Jason Taylor on the recruiting trail is going to yield some very, very positive dividends for the program.
Yeah, that's it. There's a lot to it as we bring Steve-O back in. Maybe. There we go, Steve-O. We back. Oh, no. I booted him.
That was good.
We back, Steve-O. We back.
Yeah, welcome back. I don't know what happened, but I'm back.
I have a thought in the back of my mind that you just really wanted to get those Cheetos. Get those Cheetos down and we're bothering you.
Nah, I smacked those regardless, but yeah, good to be back. I had a well thought out plan yesterday. Y'all could still hear me. I was just talking and nobody's talking back. I was like, oh, okay.
That happens, Steve-O, but we already did the intro and everything, so now we're just talking about our first reactions when you heard the news. So what was your first thought when you saw Damian Lewis was added?
I mean, I think it was cool that he was the D-line coach, and he's I don't know, what is it going to be, D-tackles coach? Is he going to be D-line coach? Like, whatever the mindset is, we just know he's going to be working with Jason Taylor. It seems like it's going to be defensive tackle coach, basically. So I'll see how that relationship goes. Two guys with NFL backgrounds. They know how to get to rush the passer. Obviously, he's, as an alumni, I was happy to see it. But, all the Canes fans rush to it. Oh, man, they don't like hiring former alumni. We get it, but the pedigree matches. I mean, he's been in NFL, programs, Seahawks. He was just with Colorado. I thought he did a lot more with less, in my opinion, with that D-line. Like what Bill said, you couldn't run the ball on them. They got a lot of sacks. They got a lot of pressures. So it was a pretty disruptive unit overall. And it's not like he's taking your whole defensive line. You have these two guys that you're devoting these resources, two of your, premier, two slots on your coaching staff to the defensive line. Because I think you gotta win on D-line, to win.
And that's really the conversation, right? Like, you have a Jason Taylor, like you said, two former NFL guys. You have Jason Taylor already locked in, coaching your edge guys, young guys that you want to develop because the young guys have tremendous potential. Then now you bring in another dude, another former NFL guy, both as a player and a coach, a guy who's coached for Pete Carroll, some really, really high level coaches in his time, and also played for some of those guys too. Now you have this dude with the opportunity to just focus on your interior guys. Like, you have all these blue chip 5-star guys spread out all across that defensive line. And quite honestly, despite what happened 2 years ago, I mean, we look at the portal group that we had this year. I mean, we got a lot of guys on the portal. I mean, to be honest, how many of them really hit the potential that we were hoping for? Not many, with the way that defense looked. There's a lot of those guys that came in and kind of went out, exactly the same player that we saw. So now opportunity now to get those guys coached up.
Really, only Mish lived up to it. I mean, he gave up his fair share of plays, but he made his fair share of plays.
Yeah, this defense did not get the clicking from that transfer portal like it had in the past, and maybe that's kind of like indicative of what's happening nationally too. Some of these other teams, obviously, we saw what happened with Florida State, but specifically on the defensive line, like we brought in 5 relatively high-profile defensive line portal guys last year, right? Barron, Alston, and then the 3D tackles.
Simeon, Barrow, Cook, Clark.
Yeah. So of those 5, besides Simeon Barrow, I mean, I wouldn't say that any one of them lit the world on fire.
Nah, because
Also was
Ahmad
hurt.
Moten, Ahmad
Yeah.
Moten took those snaps.
Yeah, so I mean, we're looking at an opportunity to have let's get Ahmad Moten to the next level. Let's get Justin Scott to the potential.
Yeah.
Let's get Lightfoot ready to roll now.
Artavius Jones.
Artavius
I
Jones.
gotta see that boy this year. He was catching screens on his highlight tape, getting jiggy. Like 280, 300 pounds. Like, I just gotta see him play.
Yeah, we have.
Yeah, they talking about Coach Jewell. I ain't gonna talk about what was going on. I think Coach Jewell's a great coach, championship caliber coach. Whatever's going on in Miami Central happened, but I don't think that's gonna affect the pipeline.
Yeah,
Miami showing love to some of those kids at Central. They have a high chance. We've hit West. We just got Cheese It Man. If y'all don't know, that's Marcellin. So I think everything's okay at Central. We got Amari. So as long as they do what they do when they want kids, I think that'll be fine. I don't think the new coaches, going to come in and hate Miami.
Not
Miami Central. I don't think so. If anything, they're going to try to sell their kids. That's what, good coaches and good staffs do. They don't care. They sell their kids to every single college they can get.
Right. And when you got one right down the road, it makes it a little bit easier too. And if like we were saying, if our guys are hitting their potential and turning into players that they're supposed to turn into, and you have a more attacking style defense, a guy that prides himself on making sure that these guys are doing what they're supposed to do. And obviously last year we didn't have, whatever reason, we didn't have the communication and the development we hoped for. Now let's bring in some guys who've been there, who've seen it, who've done it at a very high level, whether it's coaching or players, and it seems like it might be the thing that can make this thing click. And honestly, like if we're looking at this defensive tackle room, like, because let's play off the idea that Damian Lewis is going to be focused on the defensive tackles, and Jason Taylor is focused on the edge, which I think is a very fair assessment, right? I think that's logical. If you go off that idea, like, let's look at this defensive tackle group that we have now, pre-portal. Like, if this was before the transfer portal, we're looking at all this young talent, and we're saying, man, what guys we have in this room. We have like 4 or 5 guys that we think could be elite players before they're out of here. Obviously now everyone wants to go get a portal guy too, but realistically, these D tackles that we have in the room, and we added portal guys too, but these young guys we have, first, second year guys, and then added the Moten as an upperclassman now. These are guys that could get the right coaching, talking all conference easy caliber players. So do you think the development aspect, like Damian Lewis coming in, like, most likely not as your pure recruiter, but he's here as your coach, he's a development guy. Like, does that excite you to think of what can happen with this defensive tackle group? And I'll go to Steve on it first.
But right now the most gains for our defensive tackle is in that strength and conditioning off-season program. That's where they need to be making, putting their best foot forward, because that's what allows the coaching to, players make plays. They don't coach, you can have good technique, you can be good, but if you want to reach your full potential, that means you gotta grind.
Right.
So hopefully they're putting in that work, and we'll see them. There's plenty of guys you could put. We haven't even mentioned Armando Blunt. He reclassified, was playing like a 17 to 18-year-old out there having good snaps, but was still injured. So we'll see how that goes with development in spring. I don't think anybody's going to see the spring game the way things are trending, but they open it up so at the school again. So we'll see if we go, but it's nice. It's going to be nice to see the young defensive tackles. I mean, Artavius Jones, I'm a big fan of him. Everybody's a big fan of him. So we'll see how that goes. Athletic D tackles, they pop. They really do. Sometimes it takes a little bit of time. Ahmad Moten was the athletic D tackle, but you have to understand when they reshaping their body, they have to get used to that new body. It's not just like, oh man, he wakes up and he's just at his full potential. Like, sometimes it takes them to settle into their new weight, to gain that explosiveness back, to get some stuff back. So we'll see how that goes, and I'm excited because the defensive line group, as long as they're grinding in this offseason strength and conditioning program, I think we're going to be fine. I don't care for the portal guys. I like the portal guys that we did get. I like play. I'm not saying I don't like portal because it gives you some experience options. And you all know if you make a run in the playoffs, you might have to play 16, 17, 18 games. You better have some deep tackles. So, yeah, I'm with it, but I do like the young talent. You mentioned Lightfoot. It's nice. It's nice on the outside. It's time for Rudolph, somebody to pop up and just be a game-changing pass rusher. I don't care who it is. If it's going to be Ruben Gain again, I would love it. Is it going to be Mesidor? I would love it. But is it going to be a guy like Malik Bryant? I would put my money on that. I think he could have a Trent Harris type role.
Mm-hmm. For sure. And I think I just want to point out SP1, who might be Artavius Jones' NIL agent without always hyping him up in the chat. But we know he's got that kind of talent. He's got all the ability in the world. Just get it developed a little bit, get the opportunity. Love to see it. Can't wait to see it. And,
well, I forgot about Pickett.
Yeah, Crib mentioned in Pickett. Like more young, talented dudes than we've had on the defensive line in decades. Like, we've had good groups come in, but in terms of like high, I mean, you have even like a Trent Harris. Go back to the guys that came in with Chad. Chad was your 5-star, and you had Trent, 4-star guy.
You had Garvin as a freshman, a 4-star guy.
Young Garvin, Joseph.
You had Joe Jack, 4-star.
Yeah, those guys were around. I think this equals, if not higher than, because you also had the defensive tackles with the pedigree too, along with the edge guys. So it is a good group. Bill, thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, specifically at D tackle, development is going to be the name of the game. Moten is, a guy who flashed last year is probably the best D lineman we had last year. I don't know. I don't even know if that's really up for debate. And then you have guys like Justin Scott or Tavis Jones, and then David Blake coming in the portal. And then Tavis Jones too. So that that's 4 names right there. That that's where my eyes are going to be. And if this team is going to take that next step, we know it starts in the trenches, and we need to get that D line right. At this time, last year, or maybe more towards summer camp, we got Bain, we got Barron, we got all these guys, and kind of just never materialized. So Jason, I feel like Jason Taylor, he'll get the edges right as his guys are maturing, they're entering more upperclassman status. And then you bring in a developer, guy that coached in the NFL, a guy that had success at Colorado in 1 year, and you give him, 5-star Justin Scott, 4-star Tavis Jones, second-rated D tackle on the portal, and David Blay, and then kind of a rock solid guy in Ahmed Moten, and that's your 2 deep right there. So, I don't know if we're going to learn too much in the spring, like Steve was saying, but come that first game against Notre Dame, I think we're gonna find out pretty quick where this D line is.
I think the rotation is going to be there too. Like I feel like this is the depth that we've been waiting for. And we talked before the year, like this is it. Like we have the guys, we have the rotation ready to roll, and just overall defensively, the whole thing didn't click. I think Mario realized that with the moves he made. Notice that a lot of the guys didn't leave though. We lost coaches. We didn't lose the guys because the guys bought into it. The guys are doing what they were supposed to do, but the coach is not putting.
A guy like Mesidor coming back, it's probably one of the biggest wins that we had. That probably didn't get as much media hype, but him being a key contributor, whether he's mostly on the edge, he'll probably slide inside on certain situations. But that was a big move to have an experienced veteran guy, to go with Bain, Blay, and Moten as well.
And to that point with Mesidor, recruiting your own guys is always a big thing. Just think about what he allows you to do. And the Bain conversation about edge tackle. I see a lot of people that are fully on the tackle boat for him for whatever reason. But in my mind, he's your edge. You tell him to not worry about much about the weight. Don't worry about putting weight on. Just play on the end. Go wreak some havoc. Rush the passer off the edge, and let these young guys on the interior, set your tone and be those guys and be like the elite level rushers.
I mean, people got to understand when he put up those stats as a freshman, it was elite level bull rushing, speed rushing, just straight abusing, tackles like you saw in the Clemson game. Last year, he was doing so much stunts. Like he got some numbers last year, but there was more on like his effort, his motor plays. So his effort is there, and his talent is through the roof. As long as he plays with that motor, he'll be fine. You can call it a sophomore slump, whatever you want to call it. But to be real, Canes fans, like as long as you see that motor from Bain, he's gonna make plays. Do I like him at edge or T tackle? I like him at edge, to be honest. I think he should play strong side DN. I mean, I think that's going to be his position. Does he have the versatility to go inside and we can get speed rushers outside? Yeah, that's cool. But yeah, I would like for him to be at the edge. You know, he's steady against the run. We'll be fine. We're going to play 60 tackles versus Notre Dame. So we're going to see who gets the most tackles, you know, the most reps the next following weeks, because that's going to tell us everything.
Yeah, and again, against a team like Notre Dame, who's always going to have guys, like they're always going to have guys in the offensive line. They know what they're doing. Though they have had a surprising amount of
transfers
like,
in that
O-line
transfer. I'm like, damn, they're getting that bag.
They got a lot of talented young guys that were going to take those spots.
Rather talented young guys and talent building.
That's what a Notre Dame fan's probably saying right now, Bill. That was very fighting Irish of you.
I'm already keeping my tabs on what's going on.
I feel you. That boy doing his homework already. But yeah, it was their starting center, who was like a freshman, and then a guard or a tackle.
I know at least one tackle left. I know that for sure. And the dude that started for them throughout the playoffs in center, like you said, he's out.
Every national podcast that I've listened to, like when they're kind of reviewing like the national championship, they're like, oh well, Notre Dame's gonna have the best offensive line in the country next year anyway. So they got guys.
A lot easier said than none.
I ain't gonna lie, they do got a good offensive line. They were able to run the ball in Georgia. I mean, it was really tough sledding against Ohio State till they started to throw a little bit, but they got good O linemen. I'll give them that. But we'll be fine as long as they let them. They had great O linemen, like what's his name, McGlinchey or whatever it is. They had great O linemen in 2017. Yeah. We abused them. Jonathan Garvin was 17 years old, going around with a tomahawk chop on a first round pick. you had RJ McIntosh putting Nelson to the dirt. Kendrick Norton slamming people. It's just people got to come up and step up and make big plays.
And talk about, like, you could throw your flowers on Notre Dame all you want, but I am at the point now with this offensive line that I feel really good about our guys being able to throw their hat in there too with top 5 talk offensive line in the country. Like, I don't think that's out of pocket at all to say that our Miami group is just as good as anybody else in the country going into next season. Talking about experienced guys all across the line, guys that have played at a high level before. You have a top 10 pick, at one of the tackle spots. I mean, that's
potential first round pick on the other side.
Yeah, like we're in good shape, and with the whole Markel Bell thing, like the amount of time he played at tackle this year with Rivers inside out. As much as it may have been odd to see like the movement at times, but all the experience he had out there, or to kick it into guard if he had to, it's working out pretty well that Miami's gonna be able to basically return starters at every position, even though you lose a Jalen Rivers, so not bad. I mean, and that right side of that line is as good as, I know for a fact that's as good as any guard tackle combo in the country.
Yeah, I don't think there's a question that we're going into the season, at least it's top 5. I would probably think like Notre Dame, Michigan. I know Texas has to replace some guys.
Texas replaced a lot of guys.
Yeah,
Texas replaced a rebound.
So yeah, I mean, I think it would be fair to say probably top 3 going into the year, and then we'll see performance wise. But offensive line wise, that's the least of my concerns for this team, at least.
This is our most experienced offensive line since Steve-O was saying we're going to push over Bama like their JV squad. When we're going to roll them right off the field.
70 start under our belt. Not one against Bama.
And it's funny that's the same thing people were saying about Florida State coming into this past year too, is they got all these starts, the best offensive line in the ACC, and just like ours, crumbled like wet tissue paper.
Yeah. So I mean, hey, playing together is not that, like, that's not an underrated stat. Having guys that play together in your team, in your scheme, and all that for a long period of time. But so the lines right now from Miami looking pretty good, though for exact opposite reasons. Miami's offensive line is experienced. They have high-level players. They have guys that are going to gather national attention. The defensive line has a lot of young talent, chomping at the bit, ready to roll. We have a new coach on defensive line and our steady hand on the O-line with the guys that we have entrusted the whole program to. So, see what happens come Notre Dame, but we're feeling pretty good about how that could go, how that could shake out. You Canes fan, you asking if we had a happy 2-10 day. I don't know how you guys celebrated. I think, but it really is a national holiday for, celebrating Florida State's dismal season. Steve, do you know the last time Miami finished with the 2-win season? You know how long it's been? You want to guess?
Never.
It has happened.
Man.
Oh.
It has happened.
I don't think it's in my time.
It's got to be like in the maybe early 70s.
Because I don't think I've ever been to. I was in the Orange Bowl when we lost 48-0 to Virginia, and we didn't even lose. We didn't win just 2 games that year.
You want to take a shot? Give me a year.
75.
Bill?
66.
It's pretty wild, but Steve, you were exactly right. 1975.
For real? Yeah,
Exactly.
I know this stuff, man.
That's what Steve-O does. Steve-O does this. Steve-O knows, got the whole history. Oh, Carl Selmer led us to a 2-8 season in 1975.
Jesus.
Yeah, that's a long time ago.
That's why we had to call Schnelly.
Yeah. That might, I don't know when your parents were born, Steve-O, but that might even be.
My mom was born in 75, I think.
There you go. So it's like we're talking about not only not in your time, we're talking maybe not like in your parents' time. That's the timeline we're talking about here. And Florida State just casually did that this year. And they're trying to blow it off like it's not a big deal. No, that's a big deal to only win 2
That's
games.
a big deal. When you're paying your head coach $10 million, that's a big deal. That's a really big deal. If you're like, this is not a big deal if you're Wake Forest and you go 2-10 and then you bounce back with like a 5-6, 6-5 type year. You're Florida State. You're a power, in college football. I mean, we're rivals, but it is what it is. It wouldn't be a rivalry if they weren't great. So that is horrendous, bro. Because even in our downest days, you could talk about Golden. You could talk about Manny. Bro, we fired Manny after 7 games. Like 2? We was paying Manny like $3 million, $4 million. Like, yo, this is an upper and you paying, and on top of that, you got all these people watching these games. You have Miami, you have FSU boosters sitting there watching their money go to waste when they're just running on that D-line that they spent so much money on, bro. Just for any good parts left to hit the portal. Like, that's crazy.
I just looked at
crazy.
I looked back
They're
over
laughing it off.
Miami's entire history. In our now 100-year history, we only did that 4 times. Won only 2 games.
You could talk about Al Golden. You could talk about Mark Ray. You could talk about every Randy Shannon. You could talk about every Larry Coker, every head coach that I can remember in my lifetime. I'll wear a tie right now. I'm confident I wouldn't go 2-10. I'm confident right now. I might be mad at the depth of the cornerbacks, but we're not going 2-10.
2-10. And honestly, like, they scratched out at least one of those. Like, one of those was dicey.
And that's after 63-3.
Yeah.
The revenge tour.
What did Norvell say? That was like the most like physical and fastest team he's ever seen, or whatever he was saying in the preseason or during summer camp.
Yeah, it turns out the only thing worse for Florida State than all those players opting out in the bowl game was their players opting into the season last year. Devastating.
I don't have too much faith in Malzahn and Thomas Castellanos either.
I mean, hey, you don't get a chance to recruit a 5'4" quarterback every year, Bill. You get that opportunity handed to you, man. You got to take it.
They can double their win total, and they would still be the laughing stock of the country.
They'd be online talking progress, though.
Whatever. Keep them.
There was a Florida State fan that was laughing on Twitter because he was like, "Oh, you're taking Colorado scraps, man. Do you even know who Damian Lewis is?" Like, what? He just couldn't wait to get the tweet out. He says, "Take a shot at it." Anyway, but some other stuff popped up in there. Here we go. Crib. Question, guys: our weakest unit, receiver or linebacker? Receiver definitely has less experience, but so does linebacker.
I'll go linebacker.
Oh, forcing Steve-O to argue for receiver being the weakest unit. All right, look. If you had to make an argument, Steve-O, I'll go to you first on it. If you had to make an argument that receiver is the weakest unit, what would the argument be?
I would have to go receiver because I saw what I saw from Popo. I think Wesley as a senior is going to take an even another step forward. I thought Alderman, played well in some of the snaps he got, and he gives you experience and depth. We also have some young linebackers that could also be, vying through a lot of talent. And that receiver really. So you bring in CJ Daniels. I like him. Did he play a lot better his previous stop than LSU? Yeah. But did he play horrible at LSU? Nah. And do I blame him for not getting all the targets in the world next to some of the other guys at LSU? Nah, I really can't. I think he made good plays when the ball was thrown his way. I think we're going to throw him the ball a lot more. That's why he came. So I'm confident in that. I'm confident in JoJo to be at least a 45, 50 catch guy, at least this year, to be real with you. So if that doesn't come to fruition, then yeah, we're looking a little, it's just unknown because none of these guys are known. But I kind of missed that. We came in, we were talking this year, talking about, just a little bit past, we were talking spring, we were talking about Horton. And then, we brought in Sam Brown and everybody was like, oh yeah, but this guy's from the portal, who is better? So I really just want to focus on this group that we have in spring. We haven't really got to see Chance Robinson. How is he going to look? I think he's going to look physically imposing. And he's going to give you a different feel at receiver. So we'll see how that looks. We'll see how Nikar year 2 looks. Definitely fast. We'll see how his overall development has come under Coach KB. This is a make or break year for Ray. I mean, it's a make or break spring. So we'll see if push comes to shove and that God-given talent just shines through. Yeah. So I'm very curious. Yeah, he has to show up. It's year 3. This is when you're hitting your peak as a college football player. Mm-hmm. This is when you can enter your name to that NFL draft. This is it. So we have some young pieces at receiver. Obviously, JoJo's going to be heavy expected to start. Yeah, CJ Daniels. Do I think we get a guy after spring? Yeah, I think you do, just because you brought the big name quarterback in. I'm pretty sure they're going to get him a big name target. It's him and CJ Daniels, both in the SEC. Is that going to work? Yeah, of course. Do they try to get another one? I think so, if one comes available. But I'm actually really content, at what this receiver room looks like. I like the freshmen coming in. I think Malachi Tony is gonna go crazy. That's baby Jesus. He's gonna do well, I believe. He'll be fighting Ray. That's why I hope Ray goes crazy. Because Mally already in spring, workouts turning heads. So it's gonna be nice to see which one of these young receivers step up. I don't want to be those guys that gotta, pluck from the portal at receiver all the time when we had it. Like, let's be real, our own recruited guys were the best receivers we had. It was Restrepo, Joe Colby, Horton, Arroyo. Those are our best targets, guys that we recruited and we developed. So I'm excited about these guys because it's talented. It's stacked to the room, to the brim, because we had some classes that were stacked at the time, Brashard, Jacoby, Mello, and we're thinking, oh, it could be it because obviously the talent coming in. But sometimes it doesn't work this way. So I think that way. So I think when you look at all the players and their mindset, like just as young men, I think that's the difference when you're looking at, oh, we had 4 stars before, it didn't work. I think Coach Mario Cristobal has done a really good job at vetting the people that really fit that mold of what they want to do. And that's really showed with Dalen Upshaw and his recruitment, because a lot of people thought when he first came in that, oh, he was going to fall off. We were going to fall off of him. Man, Auburn was calling. Everybody thought he was going to flip. Man, we was on him, because once you get that guy that fits that mold, it's hard to just then you reach and you grab another guy. That was like what Miami used to do. Manny would put everything he had in some of these blue chip guys. They'd leave us, and then we reach and take a guy just because he had 4 stars. And guess what? We're losing to Duke.
Right.
So
right.
That's the difference, honestly, when you look at this recruiting. And that's why I think, even though we might say right now, I might say right now receivers weak, I just don't know. Chances like 6'2". I really don't think that way. I think these guys are just chomping at the bits to get opportunities. I mean, I feel like they really could step up. The CJ Daniels to take a starting spot the whole entire year is what I'm thinking. Like, is one of these guys gonna step up and just explode to the point where you can't keep them off the field? I mean, we have several guys who have that type of talent. So I'm hoping that's just the case. Do I think that happens where CJ's on the bench? Nah, but we got guys that could explode like that.
I think that a benefit, before I go you to Bill, like a benefit of having a CJ Daniels, this guy's been, around the block at this point. Like he was, had a transfer 2 times now, went to LSU, hoping that would be like the spot where he would, take off, go get his money in the NFL. Didn't work, went to not that he was bad, like you said, just opportunities weren't quite there. I mean, Nussmeier was really up and down. The whole offense was up and down. Now coming to Miami, like this is his one last shot at it. So what's that?
No, Galaxy King. My bad. I was thinking out loud.
Yeah, no worries. But so now CJ Daniels coming in here, like this is his last shot to go and earn that money. And he saw what guys like Restrepo were able to do here in this offense as a number 1 guy. And so that expectation is there. And maybe seeing the hunger of a dude like Daniels, maybe that light switch goes off. Seeing a guy like Malachi come in who wants to take that job right away, and has the height to do it and skill and talent level to do it. Maybe that's going to push some of these other guys like the Rays of the world to hit that next level and be that guy. And, you wish it didn't require other things, but sometimes it does. But as long as the light gets turned on, the light's on. So whatever it takes. But Bill, now flip it over to you. What was your thought on it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm on to answer the question, the linebacker being the weakest unit. Outside of the horrific secondary last year, which we portaled and kind of fixed that pretty good. Just watching the football, the college football playoff. The biggest difference that at least I saw, outside of secondary, of course, was the vast difference in linebacker play from those teams versus what we've seen or what we saw last year. Guys flying sideline to sideline. They're physical. They're making plays. When they're tackling, they're popping. You see them, and you see them. You notice them on the field, and I feel like we probably haven't had good linebacker play in so long that we probably forget like even what average linebacker play looks like. Do we have some guys that could step up? Absolutely, right. If you want to just throw out, Pruitt, I know Wes is another year older, Popo is going to get his chance. Darius Hayes, we have guys that have physical talent, but just, I feel like it's a lot easier at receiver to, kind of exploit that young talent, right? You can manufacture, routes and things like that, but, linebacker, you either got it or you don't. If you're a step slow, you're a step slow. So I'm curious if we, go to the portal for a linebacker, but, I guess we'll see what, Hetherman thinks of that unit, throughout the spring. Young talent, absolutely. But I think right now, I think that the answer is linebacker.
And also, like, there's the other side too. We don't know exactly what this defense is going to look like. I mean, we have ideas based upon what we've seen. But, are we still going to roll heavy with 2 true linebackers, and have your nickel guy being a dude? Like, are we going to go with, more of like a 3-3 kind of a deal where you have 2 guys kind of flipping on the outside that can rush the passer too, where like Malik Bryant becomes more of like a, legit linebacker and like that kind of, I don't know. But, that'll also affect things. And I guess, Steve, what you pointed out before, the visibility of spring is going to be a little bit limited this year. We don't know exactly what we'll be able to see and how much we'll be able to see and how things are going. I know we joked about it a couple of weeks ago that, coaches are as paranoid. I think, Bill, you might have said it, but coaches are as paranoid of people as you will ever meet in this world. Everyone's trying to steal stuff. Everyone's trying to take stuff. Everyone wants to know what they're trying to do. Even the Florida State coaches are probably worried about something, maybe like a high school or something in Tallahassee, maybe Lincoln High.
Florida A&M's coming knocking.
Yeah, FAMU's like going to have binoculars outside the building and see what's going on. But I don't know. But we'll see what we can. We'll know what we need to know, I suppose, as time goes on. But exactly how that's going to shake out, only time will tell as we lead our way up into September. But, there's one more thing that popped up in there, too. Also, there was some Josh Moore love here. Crib and Spill One, Galaxy King also brought it in there. Steve, if I remember correctly, you were one of the first guys on that hype train for Moore when we were talking about him earlier when he was signing up.
It was his sophomore year that got me. That was one of the best sophomore years. He's around like 6'5", to be real. He might be 6'4" and like 7/8. But I would say that sophomore tape had me a believer. So when he had some injuries his junior year, I wasn't tripping at all. You saw it his senior year. He's just freakishly athletic for that height. We have another recruit like that coming up in Gump, that we got to keep. But that is whew. I think he's going to be a good one, whether it's immediate, whether it's, throughout the season. That's the guy that I really think he might play as a freshman. Does he have to be refined? I think so at the receiving position, but he's going to be there plenty of time to, hey, I think he could be in the 2 deep and getting snaps. I mean, how much snaps a game? Everybody forgets how that clock not stopping kills, 20 snaps a game for offenses. So yeah, guys getting reps like, Ray as much as you would in normal years when that rule was changed past, where a guy like Ray you would see out there for 10 to 15 snaps easy, because you're not going to have Restrepo out there for 95 snaps, 90 snaps. So we'll see how that goes rotation wise, but he is somebody who could pop. And once you make 1 play, 2 plays, totally different. Hakeem got a real different speed element to him. Moore has more just physical ability, catch radius. When it comes to Hakeem, of course, he has an insane catch radius too, but I don't know. Moore just has really, really good ball skills. I would say if Hakeem is more of a raw vertical threat, and Moore could be, a raw all-around good receiver. That'll probably be my fairest assessment, because I think Florida State's done Hakeem wrong, and he's obviously, a product of the environment, and he hasn't played the best either. So that's tough. A lot of talented guys over there that are from the crib that you just know something not going on up there, something not going right up there if they're not playing well.
Yeah, like of all the guys, I mean, unanimous, the love of Hakeem on this show was everyone wanted him here. And you'd think he would have, that was a guy they got. We were like, damn. Like a lot of guys they get, you're like, yeah, sure, take them. But this is a different deal.
I mean, he's had pretty bad luck with quarterbacks there, right? It was
nothing.
He was a freshman when Jordan Travis, and then last year was a disaster, and then this year he's going to have Castellanos.
Yeah, that's
crazy.
Tough.
This is his 3rd year.
Yeah, this is 3rd year. Yeah, he might have to get. But I bet you if he'll probably put up, if he gets a good amount of opportunities, he'll put up some decent tape and be out of there. But I'm not going to speculate on that. But out of all the recruiting battles of Florida State in the last few years, I don't miss any. Only one I really wanted, and to be honest, obviously Lane. He'll start for them, so his to be determined how he does. But same situation with the quarterback play for him. And then Edwin Joseph at DB, that's it. I would that's it. Think about the entire Mike Norvell tenure, and I can only name Weezy for personal reasons and Edwin just for I wanted Edwin, and that's the only player that's popped for them. That's crazy. It's a 5-year tenure, and I can only think of one guy that I wish didn't go to Florida State that came to us. Even joking about Florida, I could Florida at least. I mean, they got us for Drake. They got a couple guys that you wish would have came to Miami that went to Florida. So it's just at least Florida got some wins, even though we was mostly tapping that, belt to cheeks. But they at least got some wins. And like Florida State, I can't even remember like a win, like literally, other than Edwin.
Well,
That's
I
crazy.
hope those receivers at Florida State like to block, because that's all they're going to be doing this year.
Nah, they're gonna be running routes, and then the quarterback gonna scramble. They're gonna be running routes. They'll be clearing out. They're gonna be every run play. They're gonna be doing false goes.
It's gonna be tough for them trying to figure out when Castellanos is scrambling, because they're just gonna look and see, is he back there? Where is he? Where'd he go? Where'd he push the corner's head out of the way? Look, where did he go?
Personally,
little guy.
Personally, I think he's good. I really don't want to see him reach his full potential for Mike Norvell. But I mean, hey, I think he's good. Do I think he's a great passer? Probably not. But I don't think Coach Norvell is going to have enough time with him as he did with Jordan Travis to kind of like, we saw Jordan Travis ascend from, okay, this guy can't pass, to, okay, he's a okay passer. So, oh, all right, he ended up a pretty good passer. I don't think he has that much time to work with him. So I don't know how that's going to work.
Definitely doesn't. And the pressure's on there, so he's got to get results right away.
That's the only one out of like 5 quarterbacks that Norvell's had that he developed. You could say he developed. You can't take away he didn't develop Jordan Travis. It's true. But one that wasn't the most impressive thing in the world. It's not like he was a Heisman or a first-round pick, or obviously he probably would have got drafted high if it wasn't for the injury, but he wasn't going to be a first-round pick.
No.
So it's not like, and all other guys just transfer out, or they come in front of you and they look like Brock Glenn, like, who flipped from Ohio State. Like, yeah, that's terrible. Yeah, crucial check, whatever. He went to like Mississippi State. The guy they started against us just gave him audition tape just so he could go somewhere else. It's crazy.
It's rough. And you know what's funny is that all this talk about how Florida State was a disaster at quarterback, Kenny Dillingham, he's out there at Arizona State, and he turned a random transfer guy into a legitimate player, Sam Levitt. So looks like Norvell's assistants having a lot more. He found a total rando in Camp Scattaboo. He pulled him out of the junior colleges of California and turned him into a Heisman contender. So.
Yo, to a fan favorite across America. There's a certain demographic of people that I love it. But I'm on that train. We got corners now too. I'm hyped. It's a great time. It's a new era out here. Cowboys, we up.
You're gonna be down there like coaching up Tyler really soon at corner, Steve-O.
Yeah. Come on, Brad. Let's lock up.
Blake's mom is gonna be on the sidelines. Thank you, Steven. Thank you.
Yeah. Get him at corner. Come on.
Yeah, you're gonna have to spend like half the time just coaching them how to trash talk. Be trash talking about my algebra 2 grade is better than yours.
Nah, they catch on. They catch on. Trust me. We got like our quarterback Zach Katz. He from the crib basically. They catch on. Julian Sand did it too. The first tournament was a little bit, but then after that it was, I'm that boy.
He figured it out.
Y'all boys, y'all go as far as I go, and so they adapt. I haven't had one at corner though.
That's the real test, Evo. That's the test.
We got some at receiver now, but I'll take that.
You just make him run the 40 first, just to check. Let me see. Let me see.
I don't care about the 40.
Because you just don't even have a watch that goes that high. But anyway, we'll see how that shakes out. But like we're saying, like difficult times over there and not so much here. A lot of good things that going on. Other things that you did mention, I think we mentioned J-Rock before. You Canes fan, you asking how are things looking with J-Rock at the moment?
That's going to be a slow developing thing. I mean, he just sped up his clock an entire year and now has to make a decision and get in school by July. So he's going to take those spring visits. He's going to be at, people's spring games. Does he visit more than 4 schools? I don't know. I think he probably has a good idea of maybe like 4 or 5 schools. You don't make this jump unless you're really that sure that you at least have a couple options that you're comfortable with, that your family's comfortable with. and then you could truly ultimately decide yourself.
Right.
So I would think he's got to take those options. I don't like Russian reclassifies, to be honest with you. That just got to ride. And this is a situation where you reclassify after traditional signing day. This is it's going to be more of a slow play thing. He'll be more like an Xavier Lucas thing, like, hey, Javari Flowers just enrolled in whatever school it is today.
Right. And he's a guy that he's at the point now where he's, it's his show. So he can kind of set the visits, do whatever he wants, because everyone's just waiting on him at this point. Because a lot of those other papers are already signed. So is what it is. But we came in tonight thinking, Damon Lewis was the one piece of information we had to talk about. And look, another full, high quality show for the people. Another good hour of conversation and entertainment for everybody, and little, back and forth with the chat. That was a pretty good job for you guys out there. Pretty good job, you guys in the chat jumping in, being a part of it too. But I think that'll just about do it. Are there anything else you guys think of? Anything else that popped in your minds? Not really, right? I mean, I really appreciated Steve-O's talk on how it's a good Blake, and did I use Blake already? Anthony.
Pretty sure you're allowed to just say it.
I know. I like doing this better. But anyway, how those guys are going to do that was eye opening, I think, for all of us. but we'll wrap it up with that. So before we get out of here, Bill, final thoughts for the people.
Yeah, maybe College Football 25, the video game, was a little ahead of the time with all their Chads and Blakes at running back and receiver and corner. I actually just restarted Miami one, and I have like 3 white corners in my recruiting class. It's awful. It's terrible.
Let's cut them.
Them boys strapping.
But Steve, final thoughts for the people.
About to probably play a little bit of NCAA myself. I got another corner. That's my favorite for Road to Glory. I'll go catching like 8 interceptions in the game.
Created as yourself, Steve-O?
Yeah, that boy swaggy. Got the hoodie on. You feel me? That boy swaggy.
Is your character's picture as accurate as it was last time?
It's better this time. I can show you. Actually, I can't. I don't got my remote, but I'll show you after. It's a lot more accurate.
Okay. I'm not even comfortable showing the last one, but it was, I believe, inaccurate.
And then, now Canes fans, this is pretty much the staff. Now we just look for, obviously we have Javari Flowers still out there for high school, but now it's just, the Steve machine. But now we just, it's all about, let's look forward to March, May, spring football coming up. And, that's it. We'll keep it cool on CanesInSight. We'll probably, we'll bring up a bunch of topics, but that's really what we're waiting on for now, is to see leaks, nuggets, anything that comes out of spring practice.
Yeah, and like we were saying, who knows how much info that's going to be, but we'll keep an eye out for you guys and see what we can get an eye on, and hopefully we'll have to broadcast to you guys and be some positive news for everybody. But week to week, hopefully new coaches, maybe new players, and see how it all shakes out. But that'll do it for us here on 3 Live Canes. Thank you to everybody for tuning in. Thank you to guys at CanesInSight, D Money, and the whole crew, and everybody over at Canes Connection doing the good work of helping to bring some of these players in. Thank you to everybody in the chat who was so great tonight, as you guys always are, getting involved and integrated with the show. We really appreciate you. Johnny Green jumping in the last second. And hello, Johnny Green. How you doing? Do all that stuff, the fun, YouTube stuff too. Doesn't affect us at all. We just like to talk to you guys. So, but do what you think is right. Do what's in your heart. It's just like we will. So we'll see you again next week right here. Same time, same place, 3 Live Canes on CanesInSight. For Steve-O and Bill, I'm Chris. Everybody have a great night.
This is for the national championship for Nebraska. He's a stud, that Brown, number 98.
Irvin's got it. Irvin's free.
Slips to the outside, tries to stiff arm, and he couldn't get by Ray Lewis.
Big time players. Step up in big game.
Hurt, dog. Don't ask me if I'm all right. Hell no. Husker up to the races. That's what they needed.
That's Ricks going up for 4.